Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud,
David Lauer.
the Duel 1, Episode 1 review.
There's a couple people that I'm familiar with. I've only really watched this last season that was on TV. So yes. I'm aware of Wes and Bananas, and I've seen a little bit of CT in the past. So I know those three guys. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I don't think I really know anybody other than DM, who I've heard about. It has a weird dynamic to it.
And with that being said, I was actually thinking maybe we should pretend that it's 2006, as if like the Duel 1 just premiered. So that way we could be like, John, he's eliminated, never see him again.
I guess.
but it's hard. It's like you can't deny the stark realities of Bananas, DMCT.
Yeah, I know what I know about these characters, so we have to I'm going to end up talking about...
I'm going to try and not. I'm going to put myself in 2006. Okay.
Oh, to give an objective viewpoint on that person and why they're making the decisions they're making so far in the challenge. How many is this for Wes?
This is his second.
And what about Eric? Eric's first, right?
Eric, Big Easy?
Yeah.
Big Easy, this is also his second. That's perfect. I was going to discuss that there is factions within this house. One for sure is Key West, which is all the rookies, Johnny, Bananas, Tyler, Paula, and Svetlana. The other group is the Fresh Meats. But the Fresh Meats are DM, Kenny, Big Easy, Evan. A lot of these guys, they were just premiered on the last season. And the reason why it was Fresh Meat is that none of these guys ever did a Real World or a Road Rules. Because Road Rules was just canceled. So we need more and more personalities to come in here, and now they're here, and they're all new.
Watching it's got to be weird because you've never seen them on Real World or Road Rules. But so then it just comes down to their job of casting, and if they're able to pick out some good, interesting participants who are going to contribute.
What I like about this overall is that this is the Duel. This is the very first time it's just everyone out for themselves. And in a matter of speaking, this is also the only time. There will be a Duel 2, but that's going to be basically guy-girl partners the entire time. They're just going to take the voting and the deliberation style, where it's like the last person picked gets to duel whoever he wants, as long as it's not the winner, right? That idea was cool. But the sequel, Duel 2, it is a guy-girl partnership. They just slapped the Duel 2 on it. Kind of like how Mario Brothers 2 wasn't supposed to be a Mario Brothers game.
Then they just changed the title of it. They're like, hey, we're going to insert these characters and call it Mario.
And then Free Agents was where there's going to be one winner again. But this was all hodgepodge of some days it'll be giant teams, some days it'll be individual, sometimes it'll be pairings. So this is the one and only true Duel challenge. Regardless of whether they say it's Duel 2 or they dress up a Duel type of scenario in Free Agents, this is it. Plus, the money that they get, $150,000, that will never be topped, ever.
Wow.
The Duel 2, the winners get $100,000. In Free Agents, they get $125,000. So this season's pretty special.
Yeah, that's a big budget for MTV.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really interesting that they chose these individuals because, like I said, a lot of them are just fresh meat. This is Vince McMahon just gambling on I think all these guys, they're the future. And, spoiler alert, they are. Every single character, well, I'll take that back. Most of the females, they've had their time in the sun leading up to this point, but the guys, they will have more of a brighter future because the guys continue to fight on. Most of the time, girls don't enter these things too often. Unless you're like Evelyn or Paula. Let's do the Duel 1, Episode 1. This is actually going to be covering both a guy's mission and a girl's mission. Because, it's the premiere. You got to bring out the hour-long episode, make it all fancy-like. Because from now on, the episodes are going to be half an hour long. 10 girls go at the same time with this mission called Reaching Out, where you're going to be padlocked together on these cords. You're in the middle of the sand. Right in the center, you're all connected by a ball or something like that. But this is an individual thing. You have to pull several feet against everyone else and get to this designated square in the sand, dig up your key, and unlock yourself. You have to do that first to get some Frontier Airlines tickets. That's pretty sweet. I like that.
Where do you think of that again?
Anywhere.
Anywhere?
Yeah, round trip.
That'd be sweet.
Well, so when it gets down to it...
But it's 5 on 5. basically, right?
Yeah, divided into twos for the most part, big groups. On the left, Svetlana, Nisa, Casey, Tina, and Paula. On the far right, Robin, DM, Kita, and Jody. But in the middle, we have good old Beth. And she doesn't want to pick a side. She's like, no, like he said, everyone out for themselves. And even if TJ didn't say everyone out for themselves, Beth is always the lone wolf. Throughout this entire episode, the women are like, oh, fucking Beth, I hate you. Like, she's horrible. She makes me sick. I fucking hate Beth. Nobody trusts her. And Beth is like, people hate me. But she owns it. She's not stepping down from that. She's a good heel.
She plays into it only because she's so confident in herself. It's like, oh, you don't like me? Well, you shouldn't like me because I'm going to beat you, She's very confident in her abilities, and she should be because she's really strong. She's obviously intelligent. And I think all the other girls pick up on that. They see this confident chick, and they're like, oh, shit, she's trouble. We need to get rid of her. Yeah. And, in anything they say or she says, they're always going to be offended by it and freaked out and thinking that she's nuts.
She's a bigger girl. She's not these stick-thin chicks who are competing. She's an older woman. There's also that. I don't know if that's an advantage.
Is she older? How much older is she?
Yeah, she is older. She's an older woman. Yeah, most of these girls are like early 20s. She's like in her 30s. She might even be older than that. I don't know. She's always been seen as oh shit. She was like, why does she keep on doing this stuff? In fact, that was the first thing she said in the beginning of the episode. She was like, everyone always asks me, Beth, why would you do another challenge? And she's like, why not? They pay me to go and show up. God, there's been a few now. I know she was in one back in the day when they didn't even have eliminations. Like one of the first 4 challenges of all time she was in. But yeah, she's been around. And she's always
the block once or twice.
And she's always met with adversity.
I feel like personality-wise, she's clashing with so many other women. It's going to be tough for her to stick around.
But you have to put in consideration that she is physically bigger than most of these girls. So when it comes to a duel, I mean, like, look at the duel that we witnessed tonight. It's gambling and it's lifting weights. Right then and there, she would have an advantage. That's the other cool way to look at it. It's like now, because these duels are going to be recycled, I think there's only 4 to choose from. And so we already saw one of the duels, which is the I Can gambling one-upsmanship challenge.
Watermelon lifting?
Yeah, but it's not always going to be watermelon. They're going to keep changing it with different shit.
Maybe like mangoes or grapes.
Wood, bags of something else.
I was thinking fruit only.
Fruit. Bananas. And mangoes and syrup. Bananas. Do bananas.
Should more fresh fruit.
Suppose I left a punch. That's what Johnny Bananas should have said when he was in there.
But now on this season, he's only referred to as John.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they call him Johnny, like the people do, but then on screen it says his name is John.
Because you can't really get a nickname because you're not a star at that point. Like this is his first season. There's no way they're going to be like, oh, let's call him Bananas or we're going to call him Johnny. It's like, you're John. He gets eliminated in the first episode. He's barely on the screen. Why would you spend just the couple few more cents it would cost to add those extra letters on screen? Fuck him. He's gone. That's the way I feel like it's... This is his rookie year, and, he's in and out. Spoiler alert, they're jumping ahead quite a bit.
Well, this challenge did happen, 9 years ago.
Going back to the mission, I don't know, I felt kind of weird about it, because it's everyone out for themselves, yet there was no way you can get to your square by yourself. Like, Beth tried, but everyone was like, no, we're going to have to work together. Tina's over there. She's trying to be, at first, at the very beginning of this episode, trying to be hospitable, I guess, towards Beth. She says, you have to come over here. We can't go over there. You're going to get stalemated immediately. She's trying to say pleasantly and logically, like, Beth, what are you doing? Underneath, she's like, you goddamn fucking bitch. I fucking hate you. But in the mission, she's like, Beth, you can't do it by yourself, honey. And she's like, I'm pissed off that someone could be so selfish. And she's like, no one's friends with her here. No one. No one likes her. Already, this is the campaign of hate just growing throughout the episode, which is going to crescendo at the very end.
And it seems to me like Beth knows that no one likes her, so she's acknowledging it. She's like, you don't like me, then I don't like you. So she's like, I'll just be on my own. I don't need you.
yeah, like who was she supposed to side with? It's not like the other group liked her either. Robin, Diem, Keena, and Jody. None of this made any sense. I figured either people would choose who they want to be put next to, so then they could immediately go into groups and poll. But really, this was just chaos. It's like, where is the motivation in this thing? Because in the end, anyone could win. It just depends on who you group up with. But then you didn't even choose who you grouped up with. It was just like, this person's closer to it, let's just go with them. Like in Big Easy's case, the guys were just like, he's the fattest one. Like, we should hook our wagons up with him.
And I think that's smarter, just strategy-wise, to stick everyone together, so that way everything is being pulled from one point.
It's a good idea. It's a weird idea in terms of production. You want the cream to rise to the top, but you can't do that if, like, right away you gotta pick an alliance. So maybe that's what they're trying to do at this point. They're like, okay, we all said everyone's out as individuals, but right now we want to sit back and see where do they gravitate towards? What is the natural, organic alliance between these people?
Because in the later one with the rings, it was also kind of picking and choosing who you like and who you dislike. They seem to try and do that in challenges, and I enjoy that part of it. To be able to, have them prematurely before they even end up picking who's going to be in elimination, just seeing how they interact in the game because they have to pick favorites.
Finally, the group on the left with Svetlana, Nisa, Casey, Tina, and Paula, they're just like, why don't we just go to Beth? Let's just go over there and help her fucking win. So they try and get over there. So right then and there, the weight is taken off of Robin and the rest of the group pretty good. So now it's a race between Beth and Robin digging through the sand for their respected keys. Robin gets it. It was just like whoever can dig faster, I guess. I don't know. Beth had a lot more she was pulled back a lot more. She could only reach at the very ends of her fingers and dig. Meanwhile, Robin had plenty of slack. Robin wins. She wins Frontier Airlines. Let's get to the guys' heat. No one is really on any kind of side. It's just kind of thrown up in the air. On the left is Nehemiah, Derek, Wes, Evan, and Tyler. On the right, Kenny, Brad, Big Easy, and CT. In the center, though, we got John Bananas. He doesn't want to pick a side. He's saying, I don't trust the guy on my left or my right as far as I can drag him. He should trust the guy on his right a little bit. Tyler, that's his roommate. But they immediately part into twos. Big Easy, it's like, you got to put your money on Big Easy, though. That Harry Knowles looking motherfucker. Yeah, Eric. This didn't make any sense. It really, where is the motivation to win? Because on this side, on the left side with Nehemiah, Derek, Wes, Evan, Tyler, Evan is saying, I'm getting torn up here, boys. The harnesses are cutting into their shoulders and shit. They're just struggling against this other side of the team. Derek is saying, how Big Easy's I don't know, 300 pounds, something like that. And CT's 240 or some shit. I don't know. Derek, he's I'm a $165. And he's leaping up in midair, getting caught by the harness, getting thrown to the floor. He's really put all his heart into it. But it's why though? If I was in this thing, I'd be why am I cutting my shoulders up when it doesn't matter? Let someone win. So Big Easy, he's hey, I got the anchor, everybody take a step. He was kind of commanding his group, I suppose. Eventually John Bananas agrees to go to their side, even though he kind of he's I know, shut the fuck up. I know what to do, but he's still I don't fucking want to choose either side. And he was right to be suspicious. Earlier that day, CT was talking to the guy. He was saying so who's going to be the sacrificial lamb? Johnny or Tyler? And in the end, he's Johnny's going under.
John was a rookie, so it was hey, fair game. We'll just go after him. I don't have a problem with it. He has to prove himself.
Yeah, but you know what? This mission, it just didn't allow you to really show off any kind of individual athleticism. You had to group up. I guess it's kind of cool that, especially the group with Nehemiah and Wes and all them, they're really putting their all in. Because they got to try and pull Eric, Big Easy. So, I don't know, when Johnny, he does decide to side with CT, Big Easy, Brad, and Kenny, I mean, he could have joined his friend Tyler because they were on the other side, and then, and he knew going in, he's notice how today is totally different because at the beginning, nobody cared who was hanging out with anyone, and now it's just like, oh, this is a political no-no to talk to like Key West individuals, for instance. Right away, John Bananas shows up, and he's like, I'm a rookie with my Key West people. They're gonna target us first. Big Easy wins. So now it's the deliberation time. And at first glance, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like, these people are picked, and then it seems to get interesting near the end. However, I said that this house was divided into factions. Fresh Meat, and then Key West, and then the alumni. Now, Big Easy, this is a male duel day. He has all the power in his hands. He's Fresh Meat. What does he do? He's like, well, I just want to make it even, and I'm going to vote on the girl who won today, Robin. Robin is an alumni. So right away, it kicks off this huge alumni vote. Robin chooses Brad. Brad chooses Jody, and it keeps on going down the line. Jody, Derek, Keena, CT, Anissa, Wes. And then it finally gets to alumni Tina. She makes a really weird decision. You didn't seem to notice or care because, like, why would you? You didn't see the previous Fresh Meat season. Tina didn't choose Kenny. That was her partner in Fresh Meat, right? Instead, she chooses Nehemiah, who is a rookie, a straight-up rookie. He's not Key West, but he is a rookie as well. He's from Austin, I believe. So that was a weird decision. Then Nehemiah chooses Beth, her sworn enemy. So that kind of bit her in the ass. So now Beth is saved. Then Beth chooses Evan, and now it's on to the Fresh Meat. Evan, Diem, Kenny. Now it gets to Kenny, and now it's all just Key West people left. And this is where he could choose between Svetlana, Casey, or Paula. It makes sense to choose Casey because Casey is a fellow Fresh Meater. But instead, Kenny chooses Svetlana. And that's why Svetlana was pissed, where she's like, I don't want to have to choose between my two housemates, John Bananas or Tyler. And she says, I'm going to save John Bananas because I believe Tyler is a machine. He works out. He actually does exercise. So now Tyler is there. He gets to choose anyone he wants besides Big Easy to go in against in a duel. Who does he choose but his own roommate?
Yeah. I mean, he had to just been thinking, who's the only guy I think I can beat? He had to have been intimidated by the other guys and just been like, all right, he's my roommate. I know him. I feel like I could have a chance against him.
And the way he worded it, he's like, let's just do it because this is how all of you wanted it. Let's go, Johnny.
Like it wasn't his choice. It's like, no, it is still your choice, man.
So now we get to the duel of the night, and it's called I Can. Oh, by the way, they pick a card randomly. So that's one of four that will always be there. So it's I Can. And they get to it, it's at night, there's fire going and shit, and there's a big steel cage in the center and like 300 watermelons in the corners. Now, the concept of I Can is it's counterbidding. It's like, hey, I bet you that I can lift 20 watermelon. If you say like, no, there's no way, Vince, go ahead, do it then. Fucking do it, piece of shit.
Yeah, but it's hard to gauge, obviously, what weight a watermelon is.
Tyler says, Bananas, you go first. Bananas like, all right. He goes 10. Tyler goes 15. Bananas goes 20. Tyler goes 21. At this point, there's a pattern. Banana says 23. Tyler says 24. Banana says 28. 29. Then finally, Bananas is like 30. And again, Tyler says 31. So Bananas is there like, all right, in the back of my head, I'm like, watermelon's got to be pretty fucking heavy. So he's like, Tyler, do it.
Yeah, and the fact that Tyler's only bidding one over kind of comes off as he's not very confident in himself. He's not bidding up by 5. So John sees that and is like, oh, he's not even confident that he can do that much, so maybe I should call him out on it.
He says, do it. Tyler, he gets suited up, he puts on the back brace. He lifts it up successfully. 5 seconds. Bananas, he's eliminated. For me, and sure, I'm just being, what do they call it, a Monday morning quarterback. Bananas, from your point of view, no matter what I say, Tyler wants to one-up me. He's being very competitive, but in a very immature, like, younger child. I could do one more. At this point, why do you stop at 30? Just say 50, and then he'll say 51, then you say do it. Because no matter what, Tyler, I feel, wants to lift it, no matter what.
I don't think John knew that about him, though. I don't think he knew that he was that competitive like that.
You think you would, because he lived with him in Key West, you know?
But just the complete unknowing of how much a watermelon weighs, whether it weighs 3 pounds or 7 pounds, it's a big difference. They should have ended up going to the 50, 60, 70 range, possibly even 100, who knows. It was just a weird elimination because it was kind of a guessing game. That's really what it was. The odds are you're going to end up with a result that maybe isn't really indicative of who's the better player.
Like I said, like within those confines, sure. Oh, fuck, I spilled beer on my back. Let's pause it. All right, so John Bananas is out. We're back at the house. Tyler feels really bad about this. He's starting to tear up. He hugs John. He hugs John. Remember, this is 2006.
Yeah. But I was brokenhearted. At the beginning of this episode, I'm thinking, okay, Wes and Johnny Bananas, same season. I'm like, this is going to be an epic showdown at the end. That's what I was getting prepared for in my head. And when I saw Johnny going into this, I was like, oh, he's totally going to win. He's going to be around at the end. This guy, Tyler, was a complete slam dunk. I did not think at all he was going to win. And he won, and Johnny went home, and I'm all bummed out.
Now, remember, though, these guys are still very new. These are still like, hey, you guys got some potential. Now, everyone, for the most part, are on an even keel. Nobody hates each other yet. It's the things that happen throughout this season that are kind of like the seeds of everything else. You know what I mean? Like, It all just kind of builds and, you know, you're just like, holy shit. So this is definitely one of those incubator seasons. That's not the right word.
But the seeds have been planted. The manure is about to be dropped.
Bananas is eliminated in episode 1, and his parting words is like, you gotta take your destiny in your own hands. You can't let someone else decide it for you. And boy, does he live by that fucking thing, because he's in control for the rest of the seasons onwards, you know, where he's like, I'm gonna make sure that I am in those talks of like, who are we putting in, instead of being outside of it. When CT is talking and saying, who's going under? You know, Johnny's going under. You know what I mean?
It's a lesson learned. It's a good way to think about it.
And you said that it's like, wow, this is weird. He's not throwing a fit or anything, you know?
Yeah, I was surprised. He was just like, he seemed fine and happy with the fact that he was going home, and everyone was so super sorry for him, and he's like, oh, you know, it's alright, shake it off.
I don't think it was alright. I felt like it's like, why explode on especially if you're
he was just holding
you know
back.
What I mean? I wouldn't have said, this is bullshit in the first episode. It's like, ooh, we don't want to see this guy again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know what? He's not blaming Tyler. He's not saying, well, you should feel bad, you piece of shit. He's like, no, man, there's nothing you could have done differently, which, you know, he's lying through his teeth, but he's trying to make his roommate feel better. His roommate, Tyler, who thought he had this game in the bag where he's like, listen, all the women are going to love me. I'm the gay guy. This is an advantage. We both like the same Madonna songs. Like, I'm going to get
that was
picked
an
first.
interesting comment. Like, that was his thought process immediately. He's like, hey, I'm gay, so I'm immediately I'm friends with all the girls. It's like, oh, okay. Hopefully moves on from trying to use it of a reasoning behind why people are going to get along with him. You would think that people are smart enough to be like, hey, I don't care whether you're gay or straight. Doesn't matter. It's not going to align you with the women or the men. They're just going to look at you for the player that you are.
Mind you, they're all good players. No matter what order they get out, like, these are future gods. Every single, especially the guys, they're like archetypes of like, holy shit, this is what the challenge is.
Wow, so they're really going on to bigger and better things.
Yes, absolutely. So, now, oh my god, I lost track.
Johnny Bananas, Johnny Bananas, Johnny Bananas.
Don't summon him. He's like Beetlejuice. You can't say it 3 times. Don't do that shit.
Come on, he just got eliminated. This is the only episode we can talk about him.
Oh,
mention his name.
Okay. All right. Say poof. Johnny Bananas appears. He fucking gets drunk, because that's what he does for a living. He's like, hey, I'm Johnny Bananas. Buy a T-shirt.
He would. He would probably take us to some sleazy bar. You'd be able to hook us up with some sleazy chicks. And we'd be like, thanks, Bananas. Well, he would probably get the hot chick and we'd get like the 2 fat friends.
Well, thanks, Johnny Bananas. You piece of shit.
But hey.
You have an Olympic gold medal girlfriend. Why do you gotta get the hot one? Yeah.
Gold medal in what?
She's an Olympic snowboarder, something like that.
Wow.
Mm.
All right.
Because you know how these champions are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Johnny Bananas is the only guy to be like, hey, I'm on this show. It's It's a physical competition, and I've won 5 of these fucking things. No one's ever done that before. And so that's why Olympic gold medalists are like, holy shit. Sure, she's a snowboarder, but if she were a skier, she would definitely go from pizza to french fries. For sure, man. Yeah, let's go back to 2006. So, John Bananas, he's gone. And in the house, Tina finds herself in a strange place. Beth's bedroom. And she's talking to Beth. And they're having this conversation that's going to affect the rest of the episode.
I just thought it was, okay, whatever. Just watching an interaction. I didn't realize how it was going to escalate.
Tina specifically loves to gang up on people, and Beth always gets ganged up on anyways. So, like, this was going to happen. So that's why I'm just like, Tina, why are you in this bedroom? So this conversation goes down like this. She's like, it's like a popularity contest. You have no animosity towards anybody. I don't think nobody has any animosity towards you. And Beth's like, look, I don't want any drama. Tina says, yeah, I don't want it either. They don't even make any sense. But it's what's between drama, the lines.
But you just showed up there starting it.
Beth's like, it's interesting how people are trying to suck up to me. You're on my radar. Like, why are you trying to be nice to me right now? Tina's saying, once again, Beth thinks she's the targeted cast member. She loves to play the victim. She's crazy. We all see this. And she's ugly. We all see this too. So she leaves, and Beth's like, good luck. So right then and there, Paula was in that bed, and she's like, oh, I'm so screwed. I'm in Beth's bedroom. Her vibes are going to wash up on me. It's bad enough that I'm Key West. I already got a target on my back. Or you've seen The Imitation Game, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's about decoding in World War II.
Yeah. Yep.
This, to me, was Imitation Game, where it's just like, I know something's going on between these two, Tina and Beth. Their dialogue suggests that they're just having a conversation. But I know underneath there's a code, and I got to be gay to understand it.
Yeah. You have to be gay to understand it?
Or to care. Basically, I have to be...
That was the funniest damn thing I've ever heard. Oh. Yes. I mean, if you've seen the movie, somehow it helps.
Yeah.
Helps in the thought process.
You got to be a Cumberbatch.
Yeah. You have to fake marry Keira Knightley.
All right. So now it's Female Duel Day, and it's called Ring Toss. There's a big pool of muddy water, kind of shallow, but like underneath that there's like, mud. On one side is a pole with like each has 6 rings, different colors. Every single pole is a different color. On the other side, same colors, every color associated with a particular player. Now on the line, female duel, they're fighting for survival. But for the guys, if you win this contest, you get a scratch line DJ kit. Wiki whack. Is this a pretty sweet prize?
It might be.
Yeah?
I'm saying it's a possibility.
Would you fight for it?
No, because I don't like DJing at all. I find remixing of songs usually just makes the song worse.
So the concept, and again, this isn't really like the cream will rise to the top. It's nothing like that. It's like you have to take out your opponent. So this is ganging up. And it's the last man standing. Anyone forgot to take out last wins, basically. This is just the same as like all having to pull together, and
everyone's able to just look like, hey, we don't like this guy, we don't like this guy, we don't like this guy. We're going to go for them immediately.
And in the men's case, they go after the swimmers. They go after Wes and Tyler. That is basically the main plan. They take out Wes immediately. Wes is out in like 30 seconds. Then they take out Nehemiah. Nehemiah says, I think they confused mine with Tyler's color, because they were very similar colors, the poles and shit. And he says, I don't think they know this, but black people don't swim. Next is CT. Take out CT, that makes sense. Next is Derek. Derek says, it does burn. Just swimming back and forth, just doing the first lap, you're just like, holy fuck, that was a lot. Either you got to swim through it, which I guess would probably be easier to swim it than to just trudge through the mud. Especially for Derek. He's the shorter guy. He's the $165 dude. He's small, but he's like a fucking pit bull. He's saying, like, this is fucking hard after one lap. Next is Brad. Again, that's just an alumni. He's really good. Why not get him out? Next is Big Easy, or Eric. Big Eric. Evan, actually, he looks around and he's like, Kenny's only got 1 ring on his pole. This dumb fool got some dumb luck. He in fact tries to tackle Kenny and prevent him from getting to his ring, and he's DQ'd immediately. Now it's between Tyler and Kenny, and in the fray, no one thought to go after Kenny, and now Kenny wins. Wes says, I'm extremely irritated. I work very hard to come prepared, and I'm flabbergasted that 2 for 2, the first 2 winners, is a fat guy and a stupid dude. And I'm glad they won something because they're going home real quick.
I absolutely love that quote by Wes. Just knowing him in the future and the success he would have. And even right then, he's a young guy, but he's like, these guys don't stand a chance against me.
Next is the female heat, and that sounds sexy. We have 2 great examples on what the overall plan for the females going in is. And it's simply put by both Jody and Keena. Jody says, we're all going to go for Beth. She gives off a bad vibe, and I just want her not here. Keena says, honestly, I've never seen a more evil and conniving individual in my life. I'm uncomfortable by her presence, and I feel like nauseous when she's around. Right away, you're like, holy fuck. If Beth's not playing into the heel, like the females are like, no, she is horrible.
She has to be playing into it somewhat. For her to have that much hatred, but it's so intense where so many people don't like her, you have to be trying to put off this egocentric kind of like, I'm awesome, I'm better than you vibe. And the other women don't like that vibe at all. And it's not just a couple people, it's the majority of women. And she's aware of this, but completely fine with it. It's like, fine, whatever.
But on the other lighter, well, I guess it's not light at all. It's pretty dark. Diem. She is in remission from her ovarian cancer. Her hair is just starting to grow back. She hasn't even let her dad see her without her wig yet. Not only are you going to have to take your wig off, Diem, in front of all these people that are kind of like your summer camp friends, but the fucking world. There's fucking cameras there. She's extremely overwhelmed by it. And the way I see it is like, hey, even males, I'm vain myself. You wouldn't guess it, but I am. She's like,
I totally had that pegged long ago.
She's like, I don't want to take off my wig. It's a very feminine, it's a very important part to a female is their hair. You can't deny that.
Yeah.
More than a guy thinks of his hair, the long hair, any hair at all, that's what females identify with. So now it's barely grown back. She just feels freakish. She even says it. She's like, oh, I just feel, ugh,
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, her before her having cancer and losing her hair, maybe her hair was her favorite thing, and she just always spent time on it. It's gone, and she doesn't have it. She feels like she's completely ashamed to show it. It's unfortunate, because I feel like, part of me thinks, like, hey, she should just be fine with how it looks, and just don't even worry about it. It doesn't matter, because it really doesn't. Because once we saw her with her short hair, she still looked great. There was no denying that. She still looked hot as hell. She just had short, dark hair, and it was like, oh, okay. It was nothing to be afraid of or ashamed of.
Consider this, though. Like, she almost died. You know what I mean? She's just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I'm going to go through all this shit, and to come out of it, and then to be okay with anything, you'd figure you'd need a lot more time, because the previous, she was a fresh meat as well. So, and these things are done a couple months apart. They do 2 a year. So she told her partner then on Fresh Meat, she was like, yeah, I'm going to go into chemotherapy right after this. So that's why I really want to participate, because who knows, I might not be able to do any of this physical shit ever again. So Fresh Meat ends, and then she goes and does her chemotherapy, and then now she, thank God, it's gone, and now she's ready for this next challenge. But she's petrified. Robin, though, she does this really nice thing. She's like, hey, can I get a swimming cap? And all the women are like, yeah, can we all wear these swimming caps, these stupid looking things, like totally unsexy swimming caps? So yeah, she finally takes it off. Derek, her old squeeze from Fresh Meat back in the other season, he's like, Diem, you look good, like, holy shit, can we make out some more? CT is looking at her like she just turns into G.I. Jane, just like a sexy assassin super agent.
CT was just head over heels for her.
When Diem did have hair, I mean, she was a Barbie doll.
I thought she was hot. I mean, she looked completely different, but she looked completely hot. either way she looks.
Yeah. Total courage fest, taking off that cap. Just because she had to do it for herself. That's a whole big step that we witnessed. All right, so now it starts. Ring toss, female heat. First person eliminated was Beth.
Obviously, it was Beth first.
Then it's Casey because she's fresh meat. Like they got to know their place. To me, it's like Key West is at the bottom rung. Then it's fresh meat. Then it's the alumni. And then somewhere is Beth probably at the very bottom.
Yeah, see, you know this because you watch these other seasons. Like to me, they're all just individuals, and I don't because I have no knowledge of their other seasons.
Yeah. Well, it's not like they explained any of this in this episode. This is all me. You know? So now next is Paula. She's of course is Key West. Then it's Jody because she is a top tier female competitor. She's alumni, but might as well get her out. Svetlana, Key West. Then Tina, alumni. Then Robin, alumni. Anissa, alumni. Then it's down to Kina and Diem. And Diem wins. Could it have been slightly favoritism? Like you were so courageous. Plus, give her the win.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put a ring on her. I would have always gone for somebody else. You don't want to send them home the week 1.
Nobody wants to be that person.
If it's week 3 or week 4, then you're into the game and you're just playing the game. But you know what? Give them a week 1 pass.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, you don't want to ruin what she just did. Unlike Beth and Tina. Because as soon as everyone's just like, Diem, you were so courageous. That was a beautiful moment. They're just like, Diem. And she's like, I'm starting to feel better. And everyone's just like, you're fucking hot. She's just getting showered with love and affection. In the midst of all this, everyone starts like hearing like, shut the fuck up, you bitch. Nice Botox. You want a mud bath, you piece of shit? They all turn around. Tina's saying all this stuff, like saying, you done all this plastic surgery. You are the Joan Rivers of the challenge. Like, how old are you? Like, don't break your hip. Like, all this old shit spun in a new and funny way.
Didn't I mention that when we were first watching it, that I thought it looked like she had Botox? I did.
You did, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Alright, so then you would be cheering on Tina?
That was like when I first or second time I saw her on screen. I was like, it seems like she has Botox on her lips or something. They seem weird.
So when Tina says this line saying about, like, how about a mud bath for that Botox, you would have been like, ooh, shit. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. That's a good line. Like, I kind of like Beth because she's so confident in herself. So that's a good burn. Everyone has to appreciate a good burn.
And Evan has this great line, wherever you'll find God, you'll also find the devil. I just witnessed one of the most beautiful moments in my life is quickly followed by one of the most ugliest. Beth is like, Tina got in my face, and then she tried to make me jump. Like, fuck that. She walked away. And so she walks back up to Tina, and she's like, don't you ever get in my face again. Tina's like, Beth, if you don't back off in 2 seconds, I'm going to hit you in the fucking face. Trust.
For realsies.
And Beth is like, do it then. At this point, like, Tina's got to be looking around. The camera's right there. Everyone's just like, holy shit. Brad has this great line about, like, Diem is getting all this attention and these 2 chickens in the background, they can't handle the fact that they're not in the limelight. And they start squawking.
The hens start squawking.
And indeed they are. Like, Beth basically says, go ahead and hit me. And Tina says, I don't mind getting DQ'd for hitting you. And Beth's like, do it. And Tina says, Beth. Like, come on, Beth. Are you serious? And Beth's like, Tina, come on. They're mocking each other.
They're totally just egging each other on.
Yes.
Trying to push each other a little further.
And everything slows down. And Tina balls up her fist, hits Beth right between the eyes.
Yeah, and she was kind of being pulled back as she was throwing a punch. So it wasn't like full contact or anything. There was contact, it wasn't bad, but it was intentional, nonetheless, even though it was minimal. But it was like Beth just had this thought in her head like, hey, you know what? I felt disrespected, so she had to go over, confront Tina about it, and was just like, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to push her buttons to see if she'll do something stupid. And it worked. It completely worked. Like, she had to have been thinking that in her head, like, I'm just going to push her buttons and see how far I can piss her off. Because she already doesn't like me. So we're just going to take this to the next level and see what the fuck happens with it.
Yeah. And she got struck in the face The last few moments is Beth, like her body is turned in shock, like she's like, "Holy fuck, the bitch did it!" And it cuts.
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Ah, like total disrespect for Beth." Probably the elder statesman of the challenge, and they're like, "Yeah, that's awesome." She got it in the face, and then cuts. Let's wrap this up. All I have to say about this, the first couple missions for this episode did not tie in with the whole like the cream should rise to the top.
Yeah.
But they will. Like after this, then they'll have actual individual missions. So it was really weird to choose these types of missions for the premiere. It's just a total like that's not what the season's about. So it will pick up after this. It'll be like no, the winners will truly win.
It's completely random and arbitrary the way some of those games are set up.
Hmm.
Where it's like, oh yeah, they're all for themselves, but then they're gonna be on two teams, 5-5, but they're still for themselves. It was so weird.
Yeah.
So long, Bananas. Hopefully I'll see you soon. I think it is cool to see Bananas' rookie season, even that was it was a tiny snippet of his career. But like the last season I've just seen of Johnny Bananas, that was the first season I've ever seen of him, and I didn't like him at all. Like I found him very obnoxious, petty, general asshole majority of the time. And seeing him this season, just this small little amount, he seemed very likable, very charming. It was a different side of him. So I'm kind of curious to see how he progresses as a person over the years.
You know what? I'll say this: subscribe because we're going weekly. This is a weekly podcast. Everyone else shut down shop. Go to AfterBuzz. That's stale shit.
Oh, it is?
Sure, we're recording a challenge that happened in 2006, but there's never been a podcast about that season until now. So if you want weekly, fresh podcast coverage, subscribe to our channel and like it if you liked it, because that'll say something personally to us. So in closing, I am Vincent Cloud.
I'm David Lauer. Maddie Nice is gone for good.
And Maddie Nice will return for the island.
Perhaps. This is like booking ahead like 2 years. Like, okay, 2 seasons. Like, oh, we hope he's going to show up. Will it happen?
Yeah,
there
really.
might be delays.
That's like talking about WrestleMania next year, where you're like, I think it's going to be Rousey and Stephanie.
There was rumors about a sequel to Dumb and Dumber for years and years and years. And then finally it was true, but then it ended up horrible. The reviews are so bad that I haven't even watched it. I don't plan on watching it because I love the original and I don't want to see a shitty watered down version.
So I guess Dave is saying don't hold your breath for DJ Maddie Nice's appearance and performance, therefore?
Exactly. He's gone. He's old news.
Take it easy there, Rogers. All right, and with that, we're out of here.